Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're taking a look at the Camio model kit here from Orange Cat Industries. So this is a model kit of obviously a female character, like anime character here from, I guess, Solomon 72. Not something that I'm familiar with, but it's going to be fairly similar to like what we would see typically like from Kotobukiya's Sosai Shoujo Teian line, where there's no like mecha aspect to it necessarily. It's just like a character model kit. So should be pretty interesting. And one thing that is really interesting about this kit too, if you'll notice here on the box art, we have the character like that on one side, we turn around to the other side, it's alternate color scheme. So that is one of the things that you're gonna get with this set is two different options for the hair and the skirt parts, two different color options for those. So of course you could mix and match if you want, but that's pretty interesting. Anyway, it looks like a cool kit. Let's go ahead and check it out here for today's video. So we've got our nice big character illustration here for the box art. This, I should also mention, this is the JK version, which would just mean that's the school uniform version. And then the alternate color scheme here with the red skirt and red orange hair, compared to the kind of just a grayish skirt and the gray hair for the other side. So as you might expect, the ends of the box also going to be opposite, with this end having the gray hair, this end having the orange hair. And then on this side of the box here, we can actually see what the kit is going to look like when it's all built up. I would imagine we are going to have this stand also included in there. There you can see it. Just kind of in a couple of different poses here. It looks like we are going to have a couple of basic accessories like a cell phone, and then I think we're going to have alternate skirt parts here. If we look on the other side, you can see everything that's going to be included, including our face option parts, the stand, and then yeah, skirt parts for doing like a kneeling or sitting kind of pose there, and then a couple other little accessories in there too. It looks like we're going to have some hand option parts, some face option parts, and some water slide decals. So it looks like we got a pretty good set of stuff included. Let's go ahead and open it up and check out our contents. One question I have is, how big exactly is this kit going to be? I would imagine it's going to be pretty similar in scale to like our standard 30-minute sisters and Megami Device type of kits, but let's go ahead and check out our instruction manual here, which the instruction manual has the gray hair color on the front and not the red hair color on the back, interestingly enough. There's a little bit in here about how the wrist joint parts go together, I guess, and then we're off to the races. So it's just straight into the construction after our parts list there briefly on that page. It looks like not going to be a ton of parts. This is going to be a fairly simple kit here, so there's not going to be anything too complex. We do have some color photos in throughout, although most of the construction here, as you can see, it's all going to be in black and white. But it is printed in color, I guess, technically, because there are some bits in color. Like you got over here, little brown arrows here for showing the direction of how that part needs to be woven through there for what looks to be like a kind of satchel bag kind of thing. So that might be this part that we have here in this separate bag, which has our water slide decals in here as well. Let's check out the decals. We've got decals for the eyes, a couple little like accessory decals, like little band-aids, little hearts, these like blushing decals for the cheeks, I guess. And then one thing that I've been saying they need to have for a long time for the actual Sosai Shoujo Teian kits from Kotobukiya, they all have cell phone accessories, but they don't have any decals for the cell phone screens. This is something I've been saying for a long time they really need to have. This looks like decals for the actual like cell phone accessory screen, which is fantastic. Yeah, then here in this little bag, it looks like it's going to be a little ribbon part, which I think is probably for like the strap for that satchel kind of accessory. We've got two, one's in pink and one is in grayish, like a gunmetal sort of gray color there, it looks like. But anyway, we've also got our pre-printed faces here, which do look pretty nice. 4 of those. We'll take a closer look at them in the review portion of the video. But to get into the runners here, you can see we've also got a set of unprinted face parts. So if you did want to paint these yourself or use the included water slide decals, you can do that. And then we've also got a small runner here of some hand option parts, which are also in skin tone color. It looks like we've got holding hands of different types, and then pointing finger hands and open expressive hands. So some nice hand option parts on there. Then here in plain clear is going to be our set of parts for the display stand. Interestingly triangular in shape. I guess if you had like multiples of these, you can make them into a square, although I don't know what other ones are going to be available, at least at the moment. But there's our display stand. Runner A is going to be our first runner of optional colors. So you have either the orange parts or the kind of very light purplish gray kind of color here. There is like a drop of purple or pink kind of seems like in there as well, but kind of off-white color there for the hair parts. You can take your pick. Runner B, however, is just going to be some parts here in white. Looks like mostly for the legs and feet. And then runners C1, C2, D, and E are going to be all of our skin tone color parts here for the kit. You can see we do have a couple of more parts for the head and face here in runner C2. Runner D, just a couple of parts there for like the midsection, and then runner E, we've got 2 of these for some more joint parts there. Runner F is going to be a few parts here in black, looks like mostly for the shoes and then for this accessory there. Runner G is some more parts here for the clothing in white. Runner H, some more joint parts here as well in white. And then runner I, we also have 2 of. So this runner I is here in gray for basically the gray skirt parts and some of the option parts there. This I runner is in red for our red skirt option parts. And you can see this part up here sprayed in pink is going to be the parts for like inside, the parts for like the faces with the open mouth. So kind of cool how that's just sprayed there. Typically when you have this, it's like a lot more cleanly sprayed. This looks like it's very kind of roughly just sprayed on there, but hey, if the parts are sprayed, it gets the job done. So we'll see how those look on the kit here in just a moment. Lastly then, runner J, this is pretty interesting because we have 2 different colors of this one as well. Now this dark navy blue is all that you see on all the box art and promotional material and everything, but we have a set of this part for the clothing here in this like minty teal kind of color as well, which is not shown on any of the box art, which is interesting. But you have another color option for those parts there as well, and that's it. So let's go ahead and check out the kit. All right, so here is Camio all built up. Obviously, I went for the light hair color. It's like off-white, very light lavender color hair parts for now. I will show you guys the orange hair parts here and all the different accessories that we have in just a moment. We actually don't have a ton of accessories here. It's mostly just like option parts that you can choose which parts you want to use depending on like the colors. But obviously, if you're going to paint, that's something that you could paint as well. Overall, the kit is very familiar in terms of the construction. If you've ever built any kits like this before, especially like the Sosai Shoujo Teian kits, it's going to be very similar. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of the proportions on this one, but in terms of the construction process and general like articulation and posability, I think you'll find that this one's going to be very similar to what we've seen from other different companies before. So really quite interesting. Let's go ahead and get into it here. So starting off with our face option parts here, we've got a couple of just kind of different smiling faces here. You've got like this ooh sort of looking face there and just this regular smiling looking off to the side face. The print quality on these does look really nice. Fantastic detail, and the colors look good and vibrant on there with these other couple of face option parts here with open mouth. So you got some nice options there. For the hair, basically our options is either this light lavender color or the orange color, as I said, and it's going to be a little bit of deconstruction and reconstruction in order to swap the hair parts. But basically, I would just recommend you guys, if you're going to be getting and building this kit, just to choose, whichever color you want straight off the bat. You could also mix and match, I suppose, and we'll maybe try that out later on. But for the parts for the sweater as well, we also have the option of, instead of navy with a red tie, we've got this teal blue with a gray tie as an option. And again, you can mix and match that. If you liked the look of the gray tie more than the red one, you could swap that on there, or any other combination of those that you might like. And then for the skirt, we've got 3 options here. One just kind of like a resting pose, one with the skirt kind of either in like a blowing or twirling kind of pose there, so you can just swap that out. And then another option which comes with a few different parts here to make it in a sitting like squatting pose here. So it's got a different part for the lower part of the torso, part here for the pants and the skirt to be able to just basically take the legs off here and put them onto this part to make it in that squatting pose. Now, as for our hand option parts, you can see we've got these open hands like so. We also got these pointing hands, no closed fists actually, but then we do have 2 holding hands here for holding items for the left and the right side there, as well as 1 single holding hand here for the left side only, which I think this is going to be more for our cell phone accessory. And we've got 2 of these. One is in gray, one is in red. So just because that's on the runner that we have double of, so you've got an extra one of those. On the front, it's just blank, and you could use one of those water slide decals on there, which is nice. On the back side, it has a little camera detail on it, so you can choose whichever one of those. And then that should here fit nicely into that hand there, like so. For using that. We've also got this handheld gaming system here, looking very similar to like a Switch or something. And this one also we've got either in both red or gray. For this, you're just going to use those regular holding hands. And that's also a pretty cool one there. You have decals for that as well. And then we've got the bag, and we've got the ribbon here for this, which I can't say I'm a fan of. I really wish this was just a regular plastic part. I mean, the ribbon does look like somewhat more realistic, maybe perhaps, but not really. I think it just looks like a cheap ribbon. So not a fan of that aspect of this, but this one also you've got in either red or in gray. You could also swap the ribbon if you wanted like this dark gray ribbon with the dark gray one. It's not really very clear in the manual, I felt, as to which one you're supposed to use with which, but I feel like this kind of makes sense there. We also got this little thing here, which I guess is maybe supposed to be like some other little like camera or something on wheels too. Maybe that you can control with this or something. Maybe it's, again, not entirely clear to me, but that's just another little accessory there. And then for the feet, if you did want to opt for just like socked feet or just the leggings here continuing down to cover the feet, you can choose those instead of these shiny black shoes there if you wanted. And another pretty cool kind of additional accessory here is this part, which is meant for holding the blank face plates. So if you're going to be painting the faces or using the water slide decals for the blank faces, this is basically just like a clear piece which will just hold the faceplate and then give you a guide for the eye placement, just because the eye placement, it can be kind of tricky to get like the spacing and the leveling right. So this is a nice like kind of guide piece that you can use for that. I actually really like the idea of including something like this because it's just a couple of pieces and it can be very helpful for applying the decals or if you're planning on painting the face parts. So lastly then, just our clear display stand. This has a couple of points for articulation, one here, and one here, and you have this connection piece that will plug up into the lower back right there. There's a connection point, but if you preferred, you could use this piece here, which will not connect physically onto the kit, but just clasp around the waist of the kit and just hold it if you didn't want to have this actually plugged into the back of it there. So as for the rest of the kit, as I said, the main construction is going to be very familiar if you've built anything, especially like the Sosai Shoujo Teien kits or the 30-Minute Sisters kits. Basically, you just have a single joint there in the elbow. Gives you a pretty full bend. You have an articulation point between the top and bottom half of the torso. That gives you some movement there. The head is just on a single ball joint, so that will move around and also be able to look up and down a little bit. It's going to be kind of limited by these hair parts though. These side parts of the hair will move on ball joints that will kind of pop out sort of easily. The main part of the hair though does not move, so that's just going to be stuck in place there. Down here for the knees, you do have a double joint there, which will give you a nice full bend. So the overall posability is not too bad. You will have some seam lines like here on the forearm there, also on like the side of the thigh, you'll have a seam line there. So again, it's all pretty typical for this type of kit. So nothing really too groundbreaking, nothing to write home about in terms of the construction, but as we're taking a look at this now in a few different poses with some of the different option parts and everything, I think the main draw of this kit is not going to be that the kit necessarily does anything too new or includes anything that's too amazing, as it is, you know, essentially very comparable to Kotobukiya Sosai Shoujo Teien kit. And what it comes with a couple of different hair option parts, some option parts for the clothing, a few limited option parts for like the hands, faces, and a few included accessories, and then a display stand that's pretty much exactly what you would get with any of the Sosai Shoujo Teien kits. It's just that with this kit, we have just a different style character. As I said, just a little bit different like proportions and style to the character just being based on a different style animation. And so if that is something that you guys might be interested in, then I could definitely recommend the kit, because if you're a fan of this type of kit from Kotobukiya, then I think that this kit here also offers pretty much all the same stuff and no like great advantages or disadvantages when it comes to just like the construction and quality of the kit itself. I find that all the joints are actually really quite stiff with this one, so the posability and just posing this kit actually works pretty nicely. It's not difficult to pose by any means, and you've got a pretty good range of articulation to be able to do a nice range of poses. And with the 4 different face option parts that are kind of quite expressive, you got 2 of the faces which are just kind of simple sort of smiling faces, but then you got another 2 faces which are a bit more expressive, which can definitely give the kit a lot more character. But let me know, what do you guys think about this one here? If you guys have built it already, what did you think of the kit, or is this something that you'd be interested in seeing some more like this? At the moment, I don't think that they have any more plans to make any more kits like from this series or in this series of models. I think this is just kind of like a one-off thing, but I think it's quite nice and it would be cool to see some more from this series. But let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. If you want to check out some more kits like this, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. We've got lots of great stuff there on the website. While you're here, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, and thank you all so much for all of your support. Make sure that you're also subscribed as well if you're not yet subscribed. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, hope y'all are having a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye guys.